Shooting USA is brought to you by SnapSafe. Use promo code SUSA15 for 15%
It's
off.
my distinct pleasure to welcome MPA Team shooter Mike Hwang. Mike, welcome.
Thanks so much, Sean. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here, and it's an honor. Yeah.
There's a lot of questions that I've asked of the others about WorldShoot performance. Yours is notable. You're second in the world in open division. Tell me about it.
It's still surreal. I don't know if it's fully hit me yet. Maybe it's just kind of one of those things where like it just feels really good, and I'm kind of just enjoying it in the moment. I have attended a few big matches very quickly since then, so it's been a little bit hard to kind of just stop and settle and enjoy the moment just a bit. I shot Area 6 and Area 4 pretty much a week after coming back from WorldShoot, which was, it's kind of a lot. But it's been a good time, so I'm just enjoying that. But man, WorldShoot has been awesome. The trip to South Africa was amazing. I would definitely do it again and go back. It was just incredible. The match was also awesome. 5 days of shooting, 2.5 hours each, was really fast-paced and intense. I had never done anything like that before, but it was a really cool experience. Seeing everybody internationally was incredible. A lot of guys that I DM with on Instagram, I got to meet in real life for the first time all over the globe. Lots of guys seeing me on some of the podcasts with Masterpiece, Travis at Masterpiece as well. That was really cool feedback to hear. And then at the end of the day, I tried not to set too many expectations for myself because it was my debut WorldShoot, and I just wanted to shoot my game, and I came out second place. And it's just really just crazy, man, just thinking about it. Very cool.
Would you say that potentially just freeing yourself of your own imposed expectations played into your success? I mean, you're well known to the Shooting USA audience as an open division super squad contender. You're in the mix. You're seen on the show because you're relevant to the story. In this case, you're not on the four-man men's team representing the U.S., so you're there on Team USA as a whole. Do you feel like your success comes from not having the expectation and or pressure of being on that men's team?
It's hard to tell for certain without having experienced it. I do know that my mental game approach going into these big matches, not just WorldShoot, but even national events, is something I've been working on for the last 2 years. So, technical skill is one thing for sure. Always working on that and fine-tuning the fundamental ability. My biggest hitch, I think, at these big matches has been the mental game. So the reason that I was not selected to be on the men's open division team is because I simply did not perform at the national events over the last couple of years. I had one very solid run. The two nationals last year, that would have been the third and fourth scores that count. And for those that don't know, they take the best 3 out of 4 nationals percentage scores of the 2 years prior to WorldShoot. So those, I ended up getting 8th and 10th place, and I knew I could have done better. But I've been shooting this sport for 6 years, which in some ways is a decent amount of time, but relative to some of the other competitors is almost nothing. And so I'm still figuring out some of these bigger matches. I've shot 4 or 5 years of nationals now and still learning from it. And something clicked this year where I was just able to shoot like my normal self and not try to overdo or over-try, I should say, at these big matches, which is totally what I did at the 2 national events last year. So I was looking at the stages, looking at the low hit factors, and I kind of psyched myself out, thinking I had to go for more accuracy over speed, where speed is my name of the game. So now the combination of practicing more difficult things in practice when I go out to the range by myself and adjusting my mental attitude when I go to these matches has led to a lot more success this year. So I've had a killer run for sure. It's been really good this year, and then thankfully I was able to ride that through WorldShoot and earn that second place, and hopefully I'll keep going with that as well. But I definitely do, to go back to your question, going into the match, knowing it was my debut, I tried to relieve some pressure off myself and just shoot normally, shoot like I always do, and I was able to accomplish that. Not being on the team and in that squad, I'm sure helped, guide me in that way as well, right? So if I was on the team, maybe some of those thoughts would have crept back into the back of my head and adjusted the way I shot just a bit, with all the camera crews and all the eyes watching from all around the world. But being on the other squad with with Tilly and June, and then some of the other guys from around the world, did make it a little bit easier. I should say, yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. You kind of skimmed over the travel aspect, and this is something that I've asked everybody who I've talked to. It's a significant amount of travel to get there. In conjunction with that, there was a hang up with ammunition. So you're only allowed 2 kilos or 5 kilos of ammunition, 2.2 pounds, 11 pounds by the airlines. Some people stuck to that. Some people fudged it a little bit. Talk about travel. Talk about your ammo situation at the match.
Travel was, actually the travel was one thing that I thought was going to be really tough. And then when I got on that plane, I slept like a baby for most of that flight. So I was just passed out. And so it actually wasn't too bad. And I actually got to sit next to, Kaylee and Mason Lane on the plane. Yeah. So we were just chit-chatting for most of the time, and it was actually not too bad at all. The adjustment to the time zone, I believe, was definitely a factor. So I think I shot great during the WorldShoot, but those first 4 days out of 5, I actually didn't feel 100% like myself. I think I was able to get away with it and kind of just hang on just enough to do super well across the entire WorldShoot. Going on those stages, my primary focus is to maintain good sight control and just efficiency and call my shots and just be efficient. And I was able to do that pretty well for the most part, but mentally it was just really hard to focus and maintain that vision. It's hard to explain, and I think, in speaking with some of the other competitors as well, I think it might have been a combination of multiple things. So the time zone change, I tried my best to adjust as quickly as possible. I started going to bed earlier and earlier, about a week or so going into the WorldShoot. So they're 7 hours ahead of my time. So I tried to go to bed a little earlier. On the plane, I tried to actually use this app called Time Shifter that tells you exactly what to do, when to drink coffee, when to take naps, etc. And I didn't feel super jet lagged when I got there, but I just still wasn't mentally sharp, if that makes sense. There's a little difference there. It's also reverse seasons for them, so it's their springtime, and so maybe the allergies had something to do with it. I found out that South Africa is actually about 5,500 feet or 4,500 feet elevation, so a lot higher. I think all these tiny little factors, and then the intensity of the WorldShoot, right? So it's my first time there. We get there, see all these people settle in. We had the opening ceremony, which was also amazing. And then we start shooting for really intense 2.5 hour sessions. And there's just so much adrenaline, and I think eventually at some point maybe you just crash. And so that might have had just a small part to play in it. But anyway, I think all these tiny little factors, because I spoke with a lot of other competitors as well that said the same thing. It was just slightly hard to lock in, except for Christian. I think he just crushed it on all of those days, except maybe, I don't think he was super happy with his last day, but other than that, he just locked in the whole time. But the travel itself was not as bad as I thought, but still a little bit of difficulty in focusing as hard as I would have liked to for this first couple of days. On the last day, I finally said, shot the last 6 stages of the match, and I think those were my 6 best stages of the match. Maybe not exactly percentage-wise, because there's a lot of variability there, but in terms of my focus and my ability to shoot and how I know I can perform, I was like, this is what I needed. That was my best. So I was glad I was able to finish strong.
Excellent. Listening to your conversation with Travis on the MPA YouTube channel and his interview show, he talked about a brand new gun and 9 major. Brand new gun though has 10,000 rounds on it already. So, I mean, there's a little bit of a play there. It's brand new. It's new to me. I just got it, but I've been running it and proving it. Your 9 major though, I can see in the background, you got your loading equipment and stuff like that. Are you making your own ammunition? And with that in mind, how challenging was it to get your specific match ammo to South Africa?
That's right. That was the second part of your question. So yes, for this match, I did load my own ammo. I got brand new Starline brass. So my ammo situation is a little precarious. One of my local sponsors is an indoor range, and they provide me with range 9 brass. So for a lot of my shooting, I actually use that, which is probably not the best idea. I wouldn't recommend it. For WorldShoot, I did get some really good brass and loaded my own with silhouette powder and precision gentle bullets. And I did get that over there. So as I'm sure the viewers may know from some of the other interviewees, we did plan to have a shipment go out So I entered 1,000 rounds into that shipment, knowing that the airline policies, like you said, basically you get 380 rounds of 9mm ammo. Unfortunately, that fell through as hard as John Vlieger tried. I mean, he put in so much, blood, sweat, and tears to try to make that happen, but it just didn't happen. And so I had plans B and C, which were I bought 500 rounds of the match ammo that was manufactured
Okay.
by Frontier in South Africa. So that was just like my plan C or D or something, like just shooting random match ammo that I've never wouldn't be able to plunk test, wouldn't verify whether it worked, whatever. That was just my last resort. But then I was able to get a decent amount of ammo on the plane, let's say.
Right.
I was able to get
Without being specific.
Yeah, so I was able to have a couple practice sessions, the couple days leading up to the match, and then finish the match and have left over for the shoot off afterwards. So, yeah.
I feel like there might be a little bit of an advantage in the fact that you've chosen the 9 major. It might be a little easier to find. There's match ammo available versus the 38 Super, especially the guys shooting the 40 cal, stuff like that. That's just simply not available.
Yeah, for sure. The 9 major, thankfully there was a company in South Africa that was making it, but yeah, in general, you know, 9 major is a little bit hard to find. There are a couple companies making it, but most people I think shooting open end up loading their own ammo. So
Yeah, of course.
they're-
Excellent. That match format, 5 days of shooting, the tight windows, smaller squads, faster pace, compared to, let's say, what we're all going to be doing next week at USPSA Race Gun, where it'll be 3 days, half-day format, bigger squads. How do you find that? Did that play into your success? Obviously, it was successful for you, but did you find that to be an advantage, or was that something you had to overcome along with everybody else?
So I think I prefer that format. I enjoy the faster paced format myself. Like when we have state level matches here in my local area that are, like South Carolina and Georgia normally have, you shoot all 10 stages in one half of a day. So 8-man squads, 5 hours, and you just knock it through. Usually it's got to be staff reset for that to happen, which WorldShoot was staff reset as well. I like that format because I don't prefer being out on the range for so long. I'll do it when I have to. So I just shot Area 4, which was 16 stages, and we shot it all day from, I think, 8 a.m. to like 5 p.m. So it was a really long day, and I didn't really particularly feel myself fading by the end of it, but I just liked the really quick format, just kind of getting in and out. So I guess maybe it was an advantage, but I don't particularly think that's a big advantage, personally for me, one way or the other. I just kind of go and do what I have to do, and just kind of roll with it. I will say that
Awesome.
I used to be a big AM shooter, and I really didn't like shooting PM because I would get right around noon or 1 o'clock. I would get the the afternoon tiredness or the afternoon sluggishness or whatever, and I found out that because I was it seems so simple when you think about it, but I was eating simple carbs like eating white bread or white rice or like pasta even. Right for lunch, right before going to the match, and then I get super sleepy and want to take a nap, and I definitely couldn't focus then. And I've talked to Travis, who knows a lot about nutrition, and he recommended just nibbling on fruit all throughout the day, which is, fruit is more of a complex sugar or whole wheat or anything like that. And that honestly just changed my entire shooting life, because now I can shoot just as well in the afternoons as I do in the mornings, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but really I was looking at some of my previous nationals performances and comparing my AM scores versus my PM scores, and it was like a 10% difference, which is huge. So if anyone else is out there having struggle with the afternoon slump, check that out. Eat some fruit.
None of those guys are eating range lunch. They're all bringing stuff that is sustainable, and it's playing into the next generation as well, and you're seeing success with it. I love that idea. For me, I think the big question is, you are now number 2 in the world. You have put your name out there. You're on a roll. You're back. You've been through 2 area matches. We're ready to see you at Race Gun. What's your mindset going into Race Gun? Are we still without expectation? I'm just here to shoot. I'm going to do whatever it is. Or are you going to focus? Are you going to press?
My primary goal for Race Gun is to keep doing exactly what I've been doing this entire year, which has led to my success over the year. And that's just going and shooting my own game and not worrying about anything else. So
Yep.
I think people have different mindsets, and a lot of people have that winner's attitude. Like Christian, for example, goes into the match and he says, "I'm going to win this match no matter what," and he most times, 99% of the time, is able to do it. And for me, sometimes when I go with that attitude, and I've played around with both, I've had some success, sometimes not. But when I go into the attitude, sometimes I end up adding a little bit too much pressure or expectations to myself.
Right.
And so I don't know. It's a crazy phenomenon that I see amongst a lot of shooters. So there's different attitudes, and for me, I've just felt that the best results that I get are when I go into it and just say, I'm going to shoot my game, and I know that I'm good enough. Where if I shoot my game and I'm able to execute that, then I will do well, no matter what. Whether I win or not, that is to see. I can't control how other shooters are going to shoot. I can only control myself, and so I'm going to focus on that. And that is the attitude that I've gone into a lot of these matches with. And, as we've talked about, it's led to a lot of good success. So I don't want to change that. I'm going to go into it. I saw something out there that had some kind of ELO rating out there, and it was like I was projected, like Brian and I were very, very close. And we were both projected to be second or third, and I was like, I don't want to see that, because not that it really messes with me too much, right? I feel like I'm mentally strong enough to like put that aside, and that's not to say that I haven't experimented with going into a match and saying, I'm going to win this match, and, just playing around with it and seeing what happens, and actually did end up winning that match as well. So I think it's one of those things where, like, there's a couple different approaches, and everyone's got to find what works for them, and for me, so far, that approach has worked. So I'm just going to keep doing that and keep chasing after it.
That's it. That's the answer. One more quick question about South Africa and the WorldShoot, not related to shooting. One highlight from your trip down there. Best thing you ate, best thing you did, something you saw, anything
That's
like
easy.
that jump out at you.
That's really easy. So that's super easy. So I actually ended up being able to pet and play with and bottle feed a 3-day-old lion cub while I was there.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was right down the street from where we were staying, and we passed the sign a bunch of times, but I guess we just didn't see it. So there happened to be a 3-day-old lion cub that we were over there and were able to kind of mess with, and there's a video of it, and it's just so cute. Like, it was the craziest thing ever. Like, I don't know when I would ever be able to do that. And so that was super, super awesome. Definitely my trip was already made at that point. And that kind of just pushed it over the edge. It was just amazing. Probably one of the top 5 coolest things I've ever done in my life. I will say I went home and kind of thought about it, because I know that I was told that in the States you're not allowed to do that, play with lion cubs. And I started looking into why. I never really thought about it until, I did it, and then kind of looked into it. And so there's some like ethical things and stuff like that. But I think that the place that we went to was truly... I think it was an ethical place, and what they told us was that the mom had a litter of 4 and rejected one of them. So what they do when one gets rejected is they bottle feed for 6 months and then put it in with some of the other younger cubs, not the same one, but a different pen. So there's a whole story and everything, and it kind of checked out, and I felt a little bit less bad, but either way, the experience is done, and it was just so incredible. And yeah, I still look at that video and it just makes me smile. That thing was like crawling around the floor. We were like kind of all in a circle and took turns kind of bottle feeding it and playing with it. And it would just like crawl on your arm and stuff. It was just so cute. Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Mike, congratulations on the success. Congratulations on, I think, a different mental attitude that has led you to this elite level. And it's just magnificent, and I've enjoyed watching you shoot over the years we've known each other, and I look forward to seeing you do it again this coming weekend. Thanks again for the time.
That sounds great. Thanks so much for having me on, and I'll see you pretty shortly here.